Thank you very much. Anybody else need any?
I put $40 down
I just can't. Oh, you're
Hey, darling, you got it all set up, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna go sit at the tables after and spread out. I'm gonna say hi. Merry Christmas! Hey!
Have a really good house, Donna.
Oh, Donna's doing his Donna can. Every day she works on cooking and water. No? Well,
She's got wheels, so
and she is.
it's a good thing.
Well, you don't look like her anytime. She says heaters work. She says it
somebody else.
You know what it is? Balls. She used certain balls and you can scrape off the old ones. That's how they grind it.
They can get it cold. You know, it seems so simple. Should take 6 hours. He's still getting up every morning, going out there and getting the brush. It was 3 years, 3 years ago, but I still haven't got the brush trimmed down. Yeah, well, that's not very important.
He's always on it at night. I mean, usually they're called late nights, but in his case it's at night.
Call this Gold Bar City Council meeting for Tuesday, December the 20th to order. Please stand for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to note that all council people are here tonight. John Light, Laura Kelly, the staff, Rob Martin, and Dave Casey are all here. So we have a really good full house and a good attendance. Thank you all for coming. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda. Rick.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, we'll get right to the mayor's report. I do have a few things to talk about tonight. First off, we had our first sanctions hearing today at the court. This was for failure to appear at a deposition. The judge ruled in favor of the city, and that paperwork is out. Don't know if I mentioned the recall petition was, all charges were denied by the judge, and the sanction hearing for that's on January the 12th. So we're moving right along on this. Got an email this afternoon from the Technical Advisory Committee. That's the thing we talked about last week, the one meeting a year to review the grant application. She again asked if anybody was interested, so if anyone would like to take that on, just let me know, put your name in. We had an event happen this week. Someone created fake City of Gold Bar checks and sent them out all across the United States. I think it started with Wednesday.
Yes.
Wednesday morning, got a call from someone who was asking a question about the check they got, and what it was. They got hold of our city bank account number, created a Bank of America check that looked very realistic, it looked like a Billboard check, some scribble signature on it, and then they would send people checks out for different things. So one, they bought some birds, a guy in Minnesota, and the birds were $2,000-something, and they wrote the check for $2,850, and they called and said, oops, we wrote it for too much, just send us a check for the difference to the veterinarians who can take care of the birds. Showed this to Jay Cook, and he said that's probably what was happening. Talked to our Bank of America account manager, and she said, yeah, this happens a lot. And so she went ahead and changed the bank account number, getting new checks. That's why we don't have vouchers tonight. And so it's a reset, and we're gonna go through and make sure we try to hide our bank account numbers better than before. But they said there's people out there who will copy, working at where the checks arrive, copy the checks and sell them to people like this. We ended up talking to Sheriff's Department in Florida and in California, and of course with our guys. Wrote a full report up, sent it in, sent it to the auditor, and I guess that's about it. But anyway, the city suffered no loss. One check did make it through and got cleared initially by Bank of America, but then the fraud department got onto it and they reversed it. All the other checks we found about, they never made it past the first deposit attempt. So evidently, there's a lot of practice on this. Any questions on that? One thing, why don't you pull up the sidewalk pictures? We're going to the final design of the sidewalk. We've been negotiating with the owners of the area, because it is a change to this is the east end where Rico's Pizza and Fix It Right Auto is. And there was a lot of consternation there because they had operating businesses and were looking at getting restricted income, goes in it and goes out of it. What we ended up doing, Rico's took the biggest frontage hit, getting one 35-foot driveway, and because it's so close to 17th, we're trying to maintain DOT rules that we're highly discouraging eastbound exits. So we're going to put an exit on 17th, which they can use for their eastbound exit. All the other driveways are far enough away from roads so that that's not a problem. And then, so anyway, there's going to be a sidewalk. It'll connect from Creekside all the way in to connect to the grocery store with ADA compatible sidewalk the whole way. We're going to put the driveway 6 in the design, and then we'll be working on the budget, trying to make sure that we can include all that. Haney may come up and ask for a driveway wider than 35 feet. That's okay by DOT, but it's a variance to Goldbar rules. I'm going to show the other. Any questions on this before we flash it off? Okay, the next one is at the grocery store. This goes to the grocery store to 13th, straight sidewalk, nothing spectacular. Okay. Here's on the westmost driveway, driveway 1, is a little close to the boundary line, and I've emailed Del Schul to make sure he's happy where that is. The only other place that driveway can go would be on the east side. There's a fire hydrant right at one edge, being the east side of the fire hydrant. But that's about all. It's been blessed by DOT. You can see the distance from 13th to the first driveway, so everything's copacetic that way. And so soon, this week, I hope to release it for final design. The plan now is to have it done by June of next year. Any questions? Okay, I think that's all I have to blather about. Okay, Jay, let's start with you. You do anything interesting? Oh, staff, I'm sorry. Hi, staff. Any report?
No, Joe told about Bank of America, so I have no report.
John?
A lot of electrical going on at the pump stations and well houses, and up at the tanks. Thursday, we're probably going to be doing a test run on the new pumps. and hopefully that will work out there. But it's coming right along. Wires, hundreds of miles of wire.
All right. Look, Mr. Smiley down there. You got anything to say?
No, just working with Dave, getting him caught up to speed and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, other than that, nothing urgent that needs to be passed on. We'll stick around till after the first citizen comments, and if you don't mind, we'll go back to work. You good with that?
That's fine.
Okay.
Dave, you got any comments you want to make?
I don't, just happy to be here. If anybody hasn't met me that's in the audience, I'm Dave Casey. I'll be taking over for Rob Martin on January 1st. Rob's going to stick around out here and help with the transition just a little bit. For my first start out, but that won't last very long. So I'm happy to be back out in the valley again.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay. We decorated the tree. Al White, Pat Coleman, Ray Coleman. The city provided us some lights and advice, and we got the tree decorated, which was donated by
Jake Sharp.
North Cascade Nursery, out just west of town here. And we had a really successful tree lighting. That was really a pleasant experience. Some people decided to miss it. They're old, didn't have time to make it. It was a hoot. It was a really good, small town Christmas tree lighting. And other than that, some dirtbag stole the lights out of the Highway 2 shelter. I can't believe it. Went over there today, and there wasn't like one left in there. They got them all. So we don't have to worry about pawing through those again next year. Just buy new ones. That was unfortunate. I can't believe somebody would waste the resource of taking them down because they weren't worth it. That was their second or third trip around. And I just can't believe somebody'd spend the time to do it. Just dumb. By the way, if the guy has a problem with me calling him dumb, send him around, I'll explain it to him. That's it for me.
Okay, on the tree lighting, there was an excellent article at the Sky Valley Chronicle, that's the internet newspaper. They sent their own reporter out and took some nice pictures. And basically iterated what Jay mentioned about small town tree lightings. Chuck?
I have no report.
I have nothing.
Oh, you have to tell about the baby.
Oh, I'll update you offline.
He's not here.
I just want to echo what Jay said. It was marvelous. The cool thing about it was we had really good weather. I mean, it was not windy, it was not rainy, it wasn't bitter cold. It was cool, but it was tolerable. Good cookies, good music, good entertainment. It was just a good night. It was a really fun night.
And it was a broad spectrum of citizens that participated.
Lots of kids.
Lots of kids. Paul Pollard of the Vitality Christian Church reserved Gateway, so, he put his name on that line. The Red Hats were the ones brought the cookies and did a lot of the setup and the songs and such. And Jay and a bunch of guys did all the good work to put it together. So it was a very broad spectrum of citizens coming together to make it happen. So I like that a whole lot.
No report.
No report. Okay, we get into the action. It's time for the citizen comments. Any citizen wish to make a comment? Once, twice, 3 times? Okay, we'll get ready to go to our new business, community transit representative. Community Transit has a board at which time they elect someone to represent the different cities, sort of like the TAC. It's a lot easier. And so they have every January they have a meeting, and they have a representative from the different cities show up and vote. I voted the last year, and that was for Steve Slauson from Sultan, who rides the bus to work, so it was a great choice. Don't know what his interest is this year, but we need to send one elected official in. I'm willing to go again this year, or if someone else would like, one of the other elected officials would like to go, just speak up and it'll be no problem. Anybody? Yes?
I wouldn't mind doing that. I have in the past used that service, community transit,
Mhm.
and back and forth to work, and I wouldn't mind participating.
Okay, great. What I'll do, I'll get Steve Slauson to get in contact with you. You can talk to him about it, and maybe you guys can. The problem is, I don't think you can ride the bus there. That was the one thing I tried to get, I thought last time I went out to ride the bus in there to the transit boardroom, and I couldn't find any bus schedules that would get me there. So, but yeah, I'll get you and Steve in contact then.
That's something.
Ken, you want me to print this off for you?
Yeah, please.
You know, there's one funny thing about that date. I got invited to some conference for new elected people in Seattle, and it's on the same day. And it also has transit as one of its focuses. So why would it, that's very confusing, they picked that day.
We're probably not aware of it. What time does that's the new council?
It's called Working
training, right?
Together thing.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's
It's
just
something else?
Yeah, my wife thinks they're trolling for volunteers.
Isn't that
Yeah,
one?
that's what I thought too. I thought I'd go listen anyway, you know, I got the day free, so.
All right.
But that's a conflict, that's pretty nice.
Well, this one is in the evenings, the one you
No,
were in.
the other one's an all day.
Yeah, it's an all day, downtown Seattle. Yeah. Yeah, and they say you can take transit to it.
They're not recommending bicycling in?
From Gore.
I'd have to buy a bicycle, wouldn't I? Nah, I'd walk,
And you'd have to leave the day before.
at least.
Okay. Well, okay, we got that. Okay, the next thing was a resolution for an interfund loan. This is the loan that we talked about, the $14,000 from the water fund into the streets to balance out this year, at which time it gets paid back over 3 years. So, would I read the title?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put it up on the wall, so. I'm going to get it up there.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Why don't you go over there we go. And why don't you scroll down so everybody can take a look at the thing for a minute. Okay, last half.
Can we ask questions?
Sure.
So what's this 6% interest rate? I want to get into that myself.
That was what we checked from commercial loans. I think it was, we used the Bowling Credit Union as a basis.
Okay, so that's a loan, that's not a savings.
Oh, yeah, that's a loan, that's, yeah, that's. Okay, I'll read the title. Resolution number 11-06, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Gold Bar, Washington, authorizing an interfund loan from the water fund to the street fund for the purpose of covering potential estimated revenue shortages and establishing an interest rate and repayment terms. I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 1106.
Second.
Okay, we got a second from Davey. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Now, we've got the 2011 budget amendment. Again, this is the work that we've done for the past several meetings. The revenue you see up there is the way it is defined by the RCW, which is the starting fund balance plus the income. And we, during our budget work, we just sort of ignored the starting fund balance and worked to make the income and outgo equal. The expense is what we've been calling outgo. So that's how those numbers read. And all of our revenues exceed all of our expenses. And this reflects the current spreadsheets that you have in front of you. Any questions or comments? And if you want to scroll back up, I will read the ordinance. This is the first reading.
Yep.
The City of Goldbar, Washington, ordinance number 631, first reading. An ordinance of the City of Goldbar, Washington, amending ordinance number 622, said ordinance being the budget of the city for the fiscal year commencing January 1, 2011. I'll entertain a motion to approve the ordinance for first reading.
I move that we accept the ordinance number 631,
The first reading.
the first reading of the ordinance 631.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Okay, now we get to motor on to 2012. Okay, you have the spreadsheets in front of you. Like I said, the 25-page one has the stormwater and street fund combined together. The 27-page one has the stormwater separated as a separate utility. Number 415? And, okay, do you have a question about we got two salary benefit distributions here. The 2011 upper left-hand corner is just revised to actuals, because we started the first year, we had another, had two part-time utility workers. And the other is the 2012, and I went and cross-checked this as well as I could, and it looks solid to me. The benefit numbers for 2012 are as good as we know right now. And the distributions match up. And this is where we move Sherry to 20% time in part, because that reflects her actual work duties that she does.
Do these spreadsheets include the salary 3% increase, step increases?
Yes, if you take a look, here we go. If you take a look at 2011, the 2011 step increase wages is the same as the current. If you take a look at 2012, the 2012 step increase wage is a little bit more than what the current is. So, and it's a step increase wage that is being used for calculations. Making a total of $10,500 difference all told.
Per year.
For a year. Most of that goes into water, 135, 235, let's see what that ratio is, to the first order. Yeah, about 57% of that goes into water.
So, I know at one point, we had a meeting and we were discussing the step increases. As a matter of fact, Joe, I don't think you were here that night.
That's correct, I wasn't.
And we never picked it back up because we had to get working on this budget.
We handled it the last meeting.
Oh, when I wasn't here?
You weren't there,
Okay, then
yeah.
I will,
And I pointed out the procedural requirements on doing this.
okay, well, my apologies, I wasn't
No,
here.
no, that's
I had-
fine,
Okay.
Joe,
Yes.
we never handled anything. We never said there were gonna be any step increases.
that's correct. You didn't.
You did.
That's
You
correct.
said you wanted it.
No, I said I was implementing it. You take a look at the employee handbook and such, the mayor makes that decision.
It's money.
I know it is, and you can approve or disapprove the budget. But it's the way it works. That decision on whether to implement it or not is the mayor's decision.
Can I ask a
If it's
question?
administrative, yes.
So the 3% step increase is different than the cost of living increase?
There is no cost of living increase, but yes, it's a step increase that's built into our employee handbook. It's just the way it is, and to change it, you need to change the employee handbook, which the council can do. And let's see, in the case 2543, excuse me one second, minus 2432 equals divided by it's actually about 4.6% increase, which was, because it was a cumulative, it's what, 1% per year, is that what it is, or one?
It's 1.5%.
1.5% per year. And the way we did it, we should have done it by the manual for the last 3 years. And we did not include any back pay. I haven't heard from the auditor officially yet. The auditor said that we should follow the manual. And I did talk to our attorney about it, and they said basically you should be following the manual. So,
Well, then the manual should have been followed with the people getting their evaluations, and they weren't.
and it says if you don't get the evaluation, you automatically get the step increase.
And it didn't happen. The step increase didn't happen, and the evaluation didn't happen. It's moot. I don't believe that that's a contract.
It is not a
That's something
contract.
to work to.
It is not a
But it is
contract.
not a contract.
That is correct, it is not a contract.
So since it's not a contract, under law, why would we have to do anything?
You don't have to do anything, but it's still the mayor's decision to make, to do this. It's in the manual, it's straight up. The employee handbook that you have, that's exactly what it says. And the last time I talked, I said, I thought about this, I looked at it, I had talked to other people about it, about whether or not we have to or should or whatever. And then based on the Thanksgiving Eve work, I said it would be, I thought it would be very inappropriate not to do that.
Were all the employees at the Thanksgiving Eve work?
All but Laura.
Well, then why would we give it to everybody?
We're compensating for not having followed the employee handbook for one reason.
Again, I go back to, it isn't a contract.
That is correct.
It is something to work to. We don't have the money. We're looking at $9,562, writing ourselves loans from our water fund to cover our expenses and paying $9,562 extra, and we don't even have the money to fund our streets.
With the 2012 budget, we have balanced everything out.
Well, where did we take the $9,562 from?
Wait a minute, you mean the step increase money?
Yeah.
57% of it went into water fund. Some went into recycling, some went to streets, some went to stormwater, and the rest went to general fund. And I have to add those numbers up to you, the exact percentages. But it's distributed like regular.
Well, I personally, unless somebody can come up with an argument for me, somebody here has a responsibility of making sure on the anniversary of the employee that they get an evaluation.
Yes.
And somebody did not make sure that the employee got the evaluation.
Did not get the formal evaluation. Yes, that's correct.
So I got a problem with giving the person, especially that made that mistake, a raise. I have a problem with that.
Okay.
Whose responsibility was it?
Well,
I
let's
do-
say
I
that
do
you
my
were the
first, so I'll
city.
take the blame for that one. So I don't want your 1% a year. I want to ask you a question. Can I do that?
Absolutely.
When you're working on the shift, would you put 29 hours work time for 8 hours pay? Truthfully.
I did it every day, John.
Okay, sure, I believe that.
John, it was a 24-hour a day, 7 days a week, 11 and a half months a year.
I know for me personally, when you guys had problems with Hester, I got beaten to death on my comp time. I know that for a fact. What I'm gonna say, I'll say it once. I keep my end of the bargain. I hope the council keeps their end of the bargain. That's all
My
I'm gonna say.
response is, John, if we had the money, it'd be fine to distribute it. But the city has no money. We don't have money for civic events. We don't have money to keep the streets swept. We don't have money for any number of activities that the city is supposed to be doing for the citizens. And we have money for raises. I have a problem with that. We have to keep the city going.
By killing the people who work here.
No, John, we're all being killed. Every one of us. My federal retirements, I've had 2 of them, not federal. 2 of my retirements have gone totally belly up. I just got a deal from Social Security that says, oh, we're gonna give you a 3% raise and you're gonna pay more for Medicare and Medicaid.
All I'm saying is, we keep our end of the bargain.
So,
You always have.
I think, I mean, at this point, you know, if it comes down to the mayor, the mayor has the authority to do it. I mean, it's in black and white, and that's it. So, moving forward, I think the recommendation I made before, that we put these into an Outlook calendar so that, you know, John's anniversary may be next week, and somebody's gonna miss that evaluation, or Mr. Baker. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
We need to start keeping track of these evaluations, and so that we don't run into this issue again. That's, you know, I apologize for bringing this up, because I wasn't here last week, but,
Is it appropriate?
you know, well, yeah, and we're talking budget, and, you know, it's gonna sting, doesn't matter how we throw it down, it's gonna sting, so. We put them into an Outlook calendar, we won't miss it again, and we learn from our mistakes.
Except it isn't up to we, it's up to the mayor and the chief, his chief of staff, Laura Kelly, to take care of that. And I'd like to offer a motion that we suspend the automatic step increases from here on out for the year of 2012, pending city council review of the entire employee manual. So that we just don't have this discussion again in December. We never finished reading through that manual, there's many issues in there. And so if we're going to enforce one part of it, we need to enforce all of it. So I'm perfectly happy with the budget that the mayor has put together for 2012. But I think that what we need to do is, we need to suspend it for 1 year, pending council review and update of the manual. And if we don't get it done in 1 year, we, the council, don't get it done in 1 year because we have other priorities, then we go back to whatever we have in writing, and we're stuck with it. But I think we need to finish reviewing the manual front to back on all aspects, including this, so that this doesn't happen. And whether or not it's on your anniversary, maybe there's other options that we can proceed with that is a little bit more organized. But it's not up to us, I'm not gonna put it on my Outlook calendar. And
I agree.
I don't think Jay's not gonna
I don't
do
think
it.
I was recommending that.
But, well, you said we.
Well,
And
we as
so
a
the royal
city.
we, but anyway, that's a motion I'd like to make, is that we adopt, that we suspend the section of the employee manual that allows for automatic, for any step increases in 2012.
It's actually a little bit simpler. You can change the employee name by resolution, which is sort of
Yeah.
simply type a piece of paper up. If you would like to suspend that for 2012, that can be done by resolution.
Yeah, that's what I make that motion, the resolution.
Okay,
Whatever, whatever it takes, but the thing is, let's not get bogged down in this. I think that everybody worked really hard on the Thanksgiving Day, issue. And you know, one of the things, John, that I do, my employer, and I'll say this into the microphone, asked me that what day it was I was gonna quit. He just looked me in the eye, my last, review, he says, what day is it you're gonna quit? And I would tell him, I says, when the day comes that I can't take pride in my job. I didn't say the day that you don't give me a raise, I said the day that I can't take pride in my job. And so I think that you guys did a great job. And, but that's what was my responsibility. So, and I think that all of us have taken cuts. Many of us, many of my friends have taken cuts to the point where they've stayed home for the past 3 years, so. But didn't I take, make a motion, or how does the resolution work?
What to type the resolution? I don't need to
And
make
so
a
we'd have to
motion.
have it at the next
We
meeting.
have to have the next meeting, the two
Well, do we have a
one
consensus
twelve
to do that? If we don't have a consensus to do that, there's no point in wasting Laura's time.
I agree. I think
Okay,
we should.
so in the minutes, make sure that we have a resolution concerning, we'll work it up, we'll get a draft out and go from there.
And at the same time, it has to put the onus on the council to actually do something in that year, period, or it just goes back to where it was.
Yeah, the employee handbook needs a good scrubbing. It has all sorts of positions that do not exist and will very likely never exist in the city of Belleville.
Well, plus they're just procedures and practices
Yeah.
and behaviors.
Well, one other thing I'd like to point out before we go any further is that we have a vote on this already, and we
That
denied.
was the retrospective. That was a retrospective.
Okay, very good. I've had it explained to me.
Okay. All right, so now let's go to the next stage. The 2012 budget is in that right column. This is, what's in yellow is, or with notes on the side, was what was changed from previous edition of that. We've got a better handle on the beginning fund balance. And we changed, I think it was 90,000 for sales tax. Everything else is, I believe, on the general fund, where we left it, and except for the updating of salaries to reflect, check that, I checked it. Yeah, 6075, and the salaries were changed to reflect the 20% time of Sherry and Parks.
And these have the new wages too.
I didn't hear you.
Pay scales as well.
He's asking.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's the pay scales of 2012 salary benefit distribution. Made a correction with the drug task force. Don't know if that's gonna change next year or not, because the governor's doing some work on that. And I think we've covered all these changes before. Now, the 2012 budget, we can change January, February, and March of next year, so we got time to work on it. Now, we still end up spending $23,000 more than we take in. We have not tried to scrub any quarter than we As Jay mentioned, the community events are a place to take some more, we feel. The
I think we ought,
is what?
I think we should. We should scrub that a little harder.
Okay, right now, I think, okay, well, let's stop then, that, we're talking page 6.
So which one of these are we looking
The 27 page, that's the one where we split, stormwater and, streets. And that's gonna be a serious discussion, because there's some activities we have to take there.
Why don't we have that discussion first? Because I would like to understand, not
Okay.
that it's a bad thing, but I would like to understand the benefit of splitting it versus the benefit of not splitting it, or the benefit versus the non-benefit.
Laura, you wanna explain the idea of a,
Okay, with the stormwater utility, it's just that, it can fund itself, it can pay for itself. Right now, being in streets, there's no way of funding it, so it's all coming out of, motor vehicle excise tax, and there's no way that we can continue to fund stormwater under it. And, pretty soon it's gonna be required through the health department that we have a stormwater utility. So it's better to get it started now than to wait and still have to end up taking more and more loans every year when we can't even pay back, we can barely pay back what we are going to be taking now.
primarily it creates a new income source.
Right.
And that's basically it.
So with that in mind, I would like to make a motion that we do split it out.
Okay,
It's gonna have to be taken next year, we have to create a actual utility by ordinance. So, right now, we put a placeholder on it, but the ordinance won't be written until next year.
and the ordinance will probably have to be written a couple of times, because we'll have to do a kickoff, and we'll look at the numbers, we have to get it started quickly. And then, I'm sure our first cut at it will be simplistic, and then we have to go back and rework it to something, and then it'll keep going year after year. That's what all the other cities are facing, is this creeping specifications. Gold Bar is flying under the radar, it may fly under the radar for a while, because we don't have a sewer system, and we have the capability, the potential to maintain all stormwater on the property itself. It's really not that difficult to do at Gold Bar. So those are two things that if we exploit properly, we should keep a minimum cost for a long time. But like, for example, we got, how many street drains do we have, remember?
You remember offhand?
It's right around 220,
Okay.
30 in that area.
And see, a couple of years from now, the Department of Ecology may say, oh, you need an oil separator in every drain, which is new requirement. If you built one now, you have to put an oil separator in. At what point they decide that all drains need an oil separator is, stay tuned for the next exciting adventure. And that would be a fairly expensive hit compared to what we're doing now. So, but once we get started and get it set in, then we'll have the mechanism to do that.
But just as an independent exercise, I started creating an ordinance based on the city of Sultan, just for verbiage. I'm also gonna incorporate, just in my draft, some sections from Arlington. They have some sections that I really liked. And the problem is going to be, isn't the ordinance itself, I think that's gonna be easy, we can all vote, well, I'm in favor of apple pie. The problem is gonna be who pays for it, and how you divvy up the costs. Because, for example, the city of Sultan, the Sultan Basin Road area, for example, is all clay. And all the water that hits on every lot runs off into the street, and it has to be dealt with. And so the city of Sultan ordinance is written up based on runoff from individual properties. Whereas in the city of Gold Bar, theoretically, there should be no runoff from individual properties. So the runoff that we're dealing with on the city streets should just be the city street runoff. But it's our runoff, I mean, collectively, it's our runoff. I mean, we own the streets, we use them, we rely on them, and some of us have to swim to our mailboxes when we don't take care of the catch basins. So, but then the question gets to be is how do you prorate that? And I've had some discussions and emails with Joe about that, and obviously the easy thing is let's just charge everybody the same exact amount. Or the other thing is find a way to prorate it based on actual improvements. There's like the gentleman that was in here the other day that lives out here in Evergreen, 800 Evergreen. He's gonna be really unhappy to pay for storm drainage.
That's right.
Except for, if we have this utility, we're gonna have a mechanism to improve storm drainage utilities. So it's not gonna fix him immediately, but it gets the process going where it would be funded, and it wouldn't be a sideshow. It would be a dedicated function, because again, the funding we bring in would be dedicated to stormwater. We wouldn't be able to buy Christmas lights with it. So, but I started putting one together, and I think one of the things that we're doing is we're not flying under the radar in ecology. We're just a small enough town that we aren't under the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System yet. Sultan is, for example, but we're small enough that we're still underneath it. And I think honestly, we're 5 years out, just given the current budget problems in Olympia. Anyway, so, but I think it's worthwhile, but I'll put together a first draft or something. And I'm about halfway there, so, then I'll look at some other towns. But Sultan's right here. And-
Right.
But the big thing is, the big discussion is gonna be who funds it and how much. Just like me. I mean, I have sidewalks on both sides of the street. So obviously I get a lot of benefit.
Well, how much is easy enough to start from, because we would know what our expenditure is in relationship to that. So that would be the starting point for how much.
But again, I want to point out, and don't tell anyone I said this, but John pointed out, and I agree with him, because we all get a benefit from
Right.
it, except for some of us.
Right.
But because the water goes in the ground and we drink the water from the ground, except for the Creekside people and the Lake Road people.
Right. So how to prorate it is the issue.
That's gonna be the real sticky issue, is how do you prorate it?
So that'll be covered by ordinance.
Yeah, it's
Right.
created by ordinance, and then the fees, if on a fee schedule, it's changed by resolution. So,
So I should retract my motion.
yeah, why don't you, because it's a January issue.
All right, I'll retract my
When
motion.
and how do you get money out of it, though? You know,
We
once you
haven't
make
got
a
there yet.
resolution, huh?
We send you a bill. We haven't got
We
there
have to
yet.
create the ordinance
Yeah.
before we put it to the resolution.
So one, okay,
Yeah,
I understand that, I was just, because then you just send the bill out to the folks at Stobart saying,
yeah,
okay,
with the recycle bill,
with the recycle.
and that's how we're thinking about it,
Recycle
right?
and water, yeah.
Recycling water.
Because it's a utility bill, it's not just the water bill.
And like Creekside gets a recycle bill, but not a water bill. And Creekside would then get a recycle bill and a stormwater utility bill. And then people in here would get water bill, recycle bill, and stormwater utility bill. So, and we probably ought to give them lots of advance notice. Popular public hearing.
So if you start January 1 on starting the ordinance, and you're gonna start working on it, when do you actually get money happening? in the
Well,
city?
that's what we talked about here, starting the fund with some money, enough to get us through January at least. And so that's when we split the funds up. Some of the money in the combined fund goes along with the stormwater fund. And that's magic number. So, but Laura did a nice job of balancing it. You're not going to tell a story, right?
No.
No, okay, never mind. All right, so we are now on page, probably page 8.7. Oh, that's it. Did I miss something? Yes, I'm lost. Let's go back on page.
So, that's the beginning of streets.
let's go back to page 6. Page 7, there we go, I'll get it right one of these days. Page 727, thank you. Here we go. That's the income, and so what we've started out with, the starting fund balance of the street fund, and then you see the estimate of street fuel tax. We really appreciate if everybody buy Hummers this year. It helped out a whole lot.
Not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen, okay.
Hey,
So, we need
That's
Prius,
surcharge.
so anyway, so that's the money coming in, and then there's the money going out. You know, what we've done since last time, since we got the $14,000 in under the 2011, on page 7, you see the transfer in, the loan is 14,000. That went into the 2011 budget. So it shows up, the residual shows up as the starting fund balance in 2012. Then we go down, the expenditures, which is about what we had. I think we've,
Go back to this 14,000 that
have you got the 27-page budget?
Yeah, we've got both of them.
Okay, well, that's cool.
are you missing the page, Stuart?
Oh, there's
No,
that one.
that's the one. That's one.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is,
the 27, take the 25-page,
they're full 27 pages, I don't.
mine says 1 of 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not.
That's not the right one. Okay.
This one was 25.
The one with the page number at the top. Okay. So, so anyway, we transferred 14,000 into 2011, and that shows up as the 2012, what's left shows up as the 2012 starting fund. Okay, go to page 8. And we've changed some stuff. I've forgotten again, Laura, what's the professional services on the streets?
It's,
Is that the, is that the auditor?
yeah, there is the auditor. Yep. And there's one more.
Okay. So, and we probably dangerously cut that down to 0 for 2012. Got the salaries in there, and just holding tight on what we can on operation, but there's nothing special in there, just repairs.
We don't have an auditor for 2012.
Okay, they're not gonna show back up, that's wonderful.
No, they're just gonna be doing the financial audit on the mill.
On the well, oh, okay. Now, we left street lights in the streets, because it's not really anything to do with stormwater. And then down at the bottom, toward the bottom, there's the $2,500 going out to repay the loan, that's repaying half of the loan. And then there's $2,000 transferred out
Just one.
to stormwater, there we go, to Fund 415. So that's the money to pay for January. And when you look at that, we end up with $1,270 ending fund balance. That's low for what we're spending. We should have like 3,200, but it's positive. Okay, then we go to the other funds. We'll probably go through them pretty quickly. They're like, page 10 is the park impact fees is 0. Page 11, street impact fees, which is 0. Page 12 is equipment reserve. We don't have an expenditure listed for 2012. John thinks we need to get a small pickup truck, which hopefully we can get for under $15,000, and so that we can quit using the 1 ton on a daily basis. And if we keep using the 1 ton on a daily basis, we will probably not be using it on a daily basis after a few months. Yes.
So since we're here to talk about that.
Yes.
I'm not gonna object to the purchase of a pickup truck, but I would think that rather than buy a new one, you could buy a used one, and since we haven't money to spend on a lot of things, I mean, just because it's there doesn't mean we have to spend it.
I understand.
So let's look at a more reasonable approach.
What we're talking about is, what, a Ford Ranger long bed crew cab. That's about the type of small truck you need for doing the work we do. And personally, I've always shied away from buying slightly used cars because they never seem to be that much less expensive than a brand new one with full warranty, but that's just my prejudice. And again, we did a really good job on the dump truck. I mean, we got a $5,500 dump truck. I mean, and it's a really good dump truck, does exactly what we need, and just a fraction of what other people think.
Well, we can take off with, you're not gonna be buying a Ford Ranger. The last one went to Orkin. Orkin,
That's right.
they're gone. There are no more. Then you can move on up, and the next guy to go see is the Colorado or the Canyon or a Dodge Dakota, and they're gonna be gone. So there's only gonna be the GMC and the Chevy, and that's the end of them,
Oh, you mean small pickups?
unless you wanna buy foreign.
Really, like, didn't make any more, and all of a sudden they were gonna